Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and joining us on Compound Performance Radio. These are your hosts, Matt Domney.
And Kyle Hobbs.
And today with us, we have Katie St. Clair. So, Katie, if you could please take a second to introduce yourself to the people who may not be familiar with you, we'd appreciate it.
Shame on you, everybody. If
that's very true.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. Not a lot to introduce. I am a strength and conditioning coach out of Charleston, South Carolina. And I met Kyle because I hired him to be a mentor. How long is that? 2 years ago? 3 years ago?
Probably two and a half years, I guess.
2.5 years ago? I don't remember. But so that's how I met you guys. And I was getting started online at that point, posting really crappy material. Slowly working my way into the online world and developing what is my online business now. And so I do a little bit of, I'm just getting back to coaching in person because of COVID. And I do a lot of stuff online, mentorships and online training and all that sort of stuff. And I've been training for 22 years.
Since she was 10 years old.
I'm 42. Oh, God. So sad.
We were going to roll with it. We were just going to go with it. You're straight at.
We're going to ignore it.
So now you're working with groups, you're working with individuals, and based on your background and the tour you just gave us, you have a pretty awesome home gym. So how do you balance all of that with family and everything else?
I feel guilt 24/7. No, just kidding. But I do, it's really, really hard. So the first 4 years, I have one son, he's 6.5. And the first 4 years, I really dialed back on my work. So I used to train, I'd go in the mornings and then I'd have a midday break and then I'd go back in the evenings. And my husband worked a lot, so it just kind of worked. And then when I got pregnant and had him, I cut way back, and I probably the first year of his life only did 20 hours a week of training. And then he got into preschool and we started going the rounds. And then I used that time that I had available to me when I was home with him. I did a lot of education. I seriously listened to, all kinds of stuff, books on tape and everything. And while I was basically raising a 2-year-old, that sounds terrible because I'm the most unpresent mom ever. To be fair, I'm unpresent in everything in my life.
Sounds like we got the podcast title, Kyle.
Yes.
I'm like a multitasker my whole life. So I don't feel bad about it. That's just how I always have a book on tape. I always have a book, an actual book in my hands. I always am taking a course. Literally I'm doing 6 things simultaneously. And that's just how I've always been. And so I would say now it's great because we have a home gym. I have a home office. If it's in the afternoon, I pick my son up every single day from school at 2:15. And then if I need more time, I have a couple sitters on hand that I'll hire for 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon. And I'm watching while I'm on calls. I'll be on my membership call and doing case studies or whatever. And I'm watching my son just loop around the backyard, which makes me so happy because at least I'm here. Mm-hmm. And I walk inside and I'm hey guys, what are you doing? I'm very much more able to be present because I'm not gone at a gym. So actually it's awesome. It's probably the best I could have ever imagined it with this.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely one of the things that happened with COVID in the fitness field for sure, is that a lot of people ended up doing very well out of it and having a lot of very, very, very beneficial lifestyle changes that came from it. Like you did with your home office, me doing the exact same thing. It's a much better quality of life. It gives you a lot more freedom and a lot more flexibility to do the stuff that you want to do while still making the impact that you want to have. And that would be something that I'd be interested in knowing, is what got you into educating and doing that with other people as well? What made you decide that was the path that you wanted to start taking?
So backtrack about, I want to say 8 or 9 years now. I can't believe it's been that long, but obviously I've been training for a long time. And I pretty much just stopped caring about being a great trainer. Like I did in the beginning, I was hyper focused on my clients. I wanted everything to work. And then we struggled with infertility, and I just like that became like my hyper focus for like 2 or 3 years. And in that time period, I was still seeing clients. I just was not passionate about it. I'd come in the morning sometimes and be in tears and have to like calm down before I could see people. And so it was such a hard struggle that I basically just sort of disconnected from education myself. Even though I knew I always loved it, I just couldn't handle all of what was going on. And then at the same time, my husband had just graduated PT school, and he was doing his OCS and then getting his fellowship and doing, taking the first job he could to make as much money as he could to like pay back student loans and all that stuff. So it was just crazy time. And so I probably spent like 3 or 4 years not doing a single thing that had to, other than just showing up for work, training my clients, and going home. That I actually forgot to re-up my CECs, and I had to email an SCA directly and be like, I am so sorry. And I like told them my story. I was like, I'm a hot mess and I can't believe this. Please don't make me take the exam again. Is there anything I can do? And they were so kind, and they, were like, just submit your CECs and you're good. And so after Quincy was born and we were lucky enough to have him, it was sort of like things started to come around. And so by the time he was about 1.5, 2 years old, I had this need to just like, I'm going to totally quit this field, or I got to start diving back deep, because that's the only way I can do this, or I'm not going to be happy, because I feel like I'm just faking it with my clients, because I'm not bringing them the latest and the best of what I knew that was out there. And so I started just like deep diving in a bunch of education. And then that kind of lit the fire under me to sort of go, okay, I need to do something. Been here for so long, like I need to do something now to sort of create more of an educational platform, because I don't want to be training one-on-one 8 hours a day when I'm 50 years old. Like that's not going to make me happy. So what's going to make me happy? And I knew that in order for me to be able to do that, I needed to get some guidance on how to transition what I was learning into whether like a better business model. That's when I contacted Kyle. It was just sort of like, how do I take all of this information I now know that I've been studying for 3 years, plus all of what I want out of my life, and create a business model that actually works. So
that's awesome. And that's kind of actually what got me into education as well. It wasn't like I was a super burnt out trainer and really successful from like just a session service and monetary perspective, but I was up on my education and all that, but I was so just disenfranchised with everything around me in the facility that I worked in, and the quality of other trainers on the staff that I was with, and just the lifestyle of, performing, 50 sessions a week or 45 sessions a week or something, just obnoxious hours. And that was a big thing where, I saw an out. Like, I think when I hit 30 years old was when I got into management and development. And that was like my wife was pregnant with our first child, or she just had our first child. She was pregnant with our second. And I was literally just like, oh, I can't do this when I'm like 40, 45 years old. I can't just be servicing sessions like every day, all day. And I need to find an out. Like I need to find something else in this field that I'm super passionate about. And it was definitely the best move that I ever made from that perspective, and something that I got, passionate about. So we're not going to ask Matt about education because he can't read.
I don't have any.
Yeah. We're just going to skip that one.
Kyle just hired me because I'm mean to people on the internet. That's the only reason I'm here.
I did. I'm mean in real life, and Matt's mean on the internet. And then
I think you guys are so
nice. Well, we're nice to people that we want to be nice to, and then we're mean to everybody else.
That's
how it goes.
Yeah.
We actually I toyed around with the idea of launching a cyberbullying mentorship in 2021, but I wasn't sure how that would go. So we had a bunch of requests for it back over the summer. So
Yeah.
that may still be coming if you guys are listening and interested.
Yes. Learn from the best. Learn from.
I'll watch from the background and like kind of cringe, like really want to see it.
Yeah.
What you're saying.
It'll the whole curriculum will be just here's how you get as personal attacky as possible. So you just really cut them to the core.
Yes.
It's gonna be good.
God.
We want to see tears.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, part of that too, Katie, is like you're super likable and you don't get trolled that often.
Yeah.
Matt and I get trolled all the time by people. Like
What? I feel like
on our posts
I
and
you're
DMs.
really likable, but Matt, no, you're not.
I'm not.
That's why
I know this about myself. This is why when Kyle asked me if I was gonna like stick with him through some other stuff that happened, I was like, yeah, I got nowhere else to go. Nobody else is gonna take me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not. You're stuck with me now. This is how it is.
You can't get rid of me.
Can't get rid of me.
And I can blackmail you.
Yeah.
Like, this is what this is.
Like he's like I don't know if anybody knows this, but Kyle's fired me like roughly 7 times over the last year. And every other morning I wake up, I'm like, hey, Kyle, what are we doing today for work? And he's like, all right, fine, let's go.
All right.
Another call for the group mentorship. You're back in.
Back in. I'm sick of talking to him. I need your support. So it's interesting because like your story as far as like, coming into the mentorship process and stuff is so different than how I perceived it at the time, because I'd been following your page. I enjoyed your page. I enjoyed your content. And to hear you talk about it, you did not quite so much. What do you see as like been the major change in just how you're able to grow your audience, how you're able to reach your audience? Because I think you do a really good job of engaging with the people that follow you from that perspective. Like, how's that process been for you?
Yeah, it's totally evolved since I started.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing is that, initially it was driven by the fact that experience had happened to me where I sort of put my career on the back burner, went through the motherhood situation and all of that, and then sort of realized I wasn't gonna be happy in my field unless I kept educating. And so what I realized is that's what a lot of women feel. Unfortunately, there is not a lot of female mentors in the industry. And so I felt like, you know what? Who really cares? I don't even care because I'm not even on social media like as a normal human. I don't really care about this stuff. And so if I feel like I have something that I can offer to somebody that doesn't know what I know, why am I not putting it out there and supporting them in their journey to become the best they could be so that they could be a mentor? And so I sort of like, and I remember I shared with you that it was like I wanted to just like teach a seminar in person here. Yeah. And that was like the route I was going to go, where I would do some online training and hopefully make, a couple $1,000s extra a month. And that would be amazing. And I got to that point where I had like 8 or 10 people a month. And I was like, yes, I'm winning. But I still had that seminar outline I had shown you, and I put it on my business model, but I didn't like talk about it much. I just knew it, that eventually was something I wanted to do. And it would be like a weekend course. And then I started writing because I had enough clients on the online platform that I felt like I need to do like a group thing so I can funnel people in there that maybe don't want like the specificity that I'm offering with the training. And so that's where I started creating Empowered Performance, which was like just the program itself, just 5 days a week of training. And that was based on what I love to do in the gym. And poor Jill Zimmerman, for those of you that don't know, one of my best friends, I like put her through the paces because we have totally different body types. And I was like, if I can get Jill to do this stuff, I can get anybody to do it. So she had to go through like every single workout for 12 weeks with me. And then I was like, okay, this is done, but I have a seminar idea. And I was like, why don't I take this seminar and break it down to 12 weeks instead? And then we can all work out together while I teach the seminar. And that's sort of how it sort of just evolved very organically. But I will say that in terms of my posts in the beginning, I was posting to try to learn. So I talked over people's heads not on purpose, but because I was trying to process it in my own brain. And every time I would write a post, it would be me going, am I saying this right? And like trying to figure it out. And I didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off of at that time. Nobody on social media, nobody to be like, hey, can you read this and see if it's right? Now, like when Jason, my husband, comes to me and he's like, can you read this and make sure it's right? I'm like, sure. I didn't have to do that. I didn't have anybody. And so it's evolved in that now I try to make my message. Sometimes I still am processing through different like ideas because I'm reading a book or whatever. And so I'm thinking about it. And so it sounds annoying and over people's heads. And I hate that. It actually drives me crazy, but I feel like it helps me. And so my social media is part helping myself and a lot of helping other people. But I try really hard now to make it as easy to understand and fun as I possibly can without dumbing the information down too much. Mm-hmm. And so that's sort of like where I am with social media now.
I think that's a really interesting point that you brought up about using your own content to be able to teach yourself how to do it. And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people misunderstand is they want to have, and this is one of the things that we deal with a lot with our group mentorship and the people that we deal with is a lot of people, they get scared of posting on social media because they aren't sure if they're going to get it right or if they know all the right things or they're going to say all the right things. Mm-hmm. So by taking that and understanding it as a lens of you're going to also be learning things for yourself in the process, I think that's a really interesting mindset to go into when it comes to just posting on social media in general, and an interesting way to use it as a tool to better yourself, to teach better to your students and to your people that you deal with.
Absolutely. That's what I encourage every single person who goes through my mentorship. Like if they're in the membership, I'm like, you guys keep posting. Don't worry about what people think. And I've had people that I admired and were, had some sort of business relationship with that have unfollowed me because they thought my content was wrong. And then you know what I'm going to say about that? That says way more about them than me. Yeah. Because if you're unfollowing me because I said something wrong, maybe the better strategy would be to reach out to me and say, I think you might have said this wrong, but that's okay because I've totally said a ton of stuff wrong. And do you want to have a convo so I can help you understand it? Mm-hmm. And that's where I come at with all of this stuff with my mentees is if you want the whole group to look at what you're about to post, great. We'll all look at it. Tell you if it's wrong or right. If you want to post it and it's wrong, I'm still going to like it. And I'm still going to say awesome work. And I don't really give a shit if it's wrong or right. And then maybe on a DM, I'll be like, okay, so you could have said this. You know what I mean? Because that's reality is that you're learning through making mistakes. And if you make somebody so uncomfortable that they can't make a mistake, then they won't ever even try.
Yeah. Yeah. We deal with that a lot as people are just frozen, and it's not by even the people that they would potentially be working with. It's by their peers, right? And the judgment of their peers. And that's messed up. That's something that I think is just kind of a terrible part of this industry now, especially as you get into like different levels of education is, sometimes it's not even wrong. It's just a different lens or a different bias, right? And people really seem to forget that like all of this stuff is made up. Like it's just, it's made up. Like it's interesting. It's useful. A lot of it's not completely necessary. I look back to training people as a 24-year-old, 14 years ago at this point, and not knowing anything about anything, like coming out of school with my basic, my CSCS and barely understanding anything about, fitness or physiology or biomechanics. And I wasn't just leaving dead bodies on the floor behind me. Like people were getting better, people were getting stronger, people were, having healthier lifestyles and all these things. Like I was helping a whole lot of people with a very limited amount of actual knowledge from a training perspective. And I think that's undervalued in a lot of ways. And it's like, this stuff is helpful, but a lot of it isn't necessary. And a lot of it is very preferential when it comes to how we try to problem solve. Because at the end of the day, we're just problem solvers. We're trying to figure out solutions, but we all know there can also be multiple solutions to any given problem based on the context of the client and what they enjoy doing and what their personal, context may be. And, so it's like when you're, scared to post, or you're, like you said, maybe unfollowing or or whatever, people who have different views than you, or maybe have come to different solutions, or maybe they are even just wrong, rather than trying to have a conversation with them. It 100% says more about you than that other person. Like if you value education and you value educating others, like, yeah, DM that person.
It's an area we should have a conversation.
Yeah. Like, hey, like, let's talk about this because I've got some thoughts on it that differ from yours and I'd like to discuss, because maybe you can add insight to my thought process too. You know, I mean, we talk, you know, quite a bit on DMs and we have a lot of very similar beliefs, but I don't think we believe exactly the same on everything. But, you know, it's
because that'd be super boring if you guys agreed 100% on everything.
I disagree with
really boring.
I disagree with Matt on most things. We have great conversations about stuff.
We disagree all the time, and I'm like, oh, this is great because we're actually like having like speaking about something, and we're both learning the other person's viewpoint in the context.
Oh my God, Jill disagrees with me 98% of the time.
Yeah, it's great. Like we're critically thinking now. This is great.
Yeah, it's great. It just makes no sense, Katie. Literally, everything you just said made no sense. And I'm like, maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
It felt good, though, and the video was sick. So
did you see it, though? It looked amazing.
Yeah, my post engagement's up, so I don't give a fuck what you said. The people loved it. I got 50 shares, Matt. 50 shares.
That's why I don't even like Kyle's stuff on Instagram anymore.
He does it.
I just don't even like it anymore. It's
Kyle. It is funny though, because this is how I know that, you know, Matt and I are work wives, is he used to also text me his entire posts.
Yes.
The same way that Jason will have you over.
Oh yeah.
Posts.
When you said that Jason did that, I was like, oh, he's a man after my own heart.
He doesn't really do it anymore.
I don't either.
When he first got on Instagram, you know how it's like, you're just like afraid to do it.
Well, Matt doesn't do it anymore either, because he doesn't now, instead of like trying to like post educational stuff, he just posts look how strong I am stuff.
Yeah. My content has changed.
It just rolls with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you do look really strong.
It's the fatness. It's the high percentage of body fat that makes me look strong. That's what it is. It's the typical power lifter attire, which is 30% plus body fat, baggy clothes, and weights that look bigger than they are heavy.
Lots of plates. Lots of plates.
That look heavy, that look heavier than they actually are.
I should go into powerlifting.
It seems pretty cool, right? Like you get to rest a lot and eat a lot and lift a little bit. Like it's not so bad.
No, it's really not bad.
It's got to be more.
I literally know so little about it. Like it's crazy. I had to but I had like 3 different people come on the membership because everybody was like, so can we talk about how to do these lifts correctly? And I was like, I don't think I'm the right person. So just bringing other people on that are really good at it.
You should probably write an ebook then.
Yeah. Katie St. Clair is getting into golf and swimming and all of those other things next that we don't know yet.
I'll write a quick book on that.
Yes, exactly. But I think that's really cool though, because like that's one of the things I think a lot of people don't respect enough about themselves is that they don't understand their own limitations, and they're looking at trying to fill every single bucket and every single gap that they see, as opposed to understanding that it's okay if you don't know the things that people are asking you, and if you know people that are better at it than you are, you're actually going to probably get more out of it if you refer them out than if you were to just try and do a half-assed job yourself. And like that's one of the things that I think we're like watching the last Empowered Performance program that you did on social media, when you hired some other coaches from other disciplines to come in and talk about like, hey, look, like I don't know anything about this one, but this person's like super good at it. I think that was an awesome thing to see, because like that's in my opinion, that's how it should be. And that's an ethical way to run a business, as opposed to being like, well, I've never actually done this before and I don't know about it, but I'm going to talk a lot about it right now and sell you a book for $49.99.
Right. So great.
I know how a pelvis works, so I know how it works in every context. Yes. Don't you worry about that.
I have seen a bicep before, so I can coach bodybuilding.
Have you seen my skeleton that I have?
Yes. Yes, he's right here.
Yes. No,
oh my gosh, that's a tiny one. Is that
it's an optical illusion.
Yeah.
Skeleton, because in like the view I'm looking at, it looks like it's back on the other wall.
Yeah.
It's It's an optical illusion.
Yeah.
Every
I
single
have
person.
a full one.
Yeah, everybody thinks that it's like this giant skeleton, and then I put my hand on his head, and they're like, "Oh, he's tiny."
It looks like a real skeleton.
Yeah.
I have one sitting over there. His name's Stan. There was this one time I was teaching, and Stan is like kind of decrepit. He's been around. He's lost a humerus and his mandible, and he's been around for 15 years. My parents bought him for Jason's graduation present because my husband would be like, "Tell him to get me a full skeleton."
I want a skeleton.
Were these red flags when you first like started dating?
We were both always huge nerds about this stuff.
I was gonna say, Kyle, it doesn't seem like those would be red flags. It seems like those would be like big checks in the pros column.
In the speed dating thing, like those are clicks for sure.
When Jason asked for the skeleton for the graduation gift, I bet Katie was like, "This is the man I'm gonna marry." Yep, this is it. This is just done.
We were already married, luckily. But I was teaching one day on EP. I think it was like the second round of EP, and I was still kind of nervous teaching, like in general. It's just hard every single time you go into a full presentation for an hour and a half. And Stan just like bit the dust and falls down on the ground. I actually went back and got the clip and put it on Instagram because it was so funny. And then I pick him up and I'm like, "Okay, guys, here's the scapula. Tried to play it off like it didn't like flutter me a lot, but really I was like, I don't even know what I'm supposed to talk about next. Like, what's like I was so just overwhelmed.
I used to do our group calls with my video, so I couldn't see anybody else's actual videos when we did it because I would get so nervous if somebody like wasn't paying attention, or like if it was like a whole screen full of like blacked out screens, like when we did our groups.
Yeah.
Then I would literally.
How do you do like when you're presenting a presentation? You can't see anybody anyway.
Well, so
this is before Kyle decided we needed to have slides.
This is
all right. Group mentorship 1.0. What are we gonna do? We're just gonna get on and ramble for.
We're just gonna
minutes.
talk about we had the curriculum and like on the website, and then I just talk about the curriculum and answer Q&A questions. Yeah. It was great, but I would literally just pin my own video so I couldn't see anybody else.
Wow.
We've come a long way.
My favorite was there was one, I forgot, I don't remember what it was, but there was one, I think it was in one of the free webinars that we did where I didn't pin the videos and I got to see like the gallery, and there was one person just standing the whole time watching, and he was just like standing like sideways on, just like watching the video that we were doing. And it's like, what is this man doing? Like,
what's he doing?
Why is this person just standing like
it gets really distracting. Weird. On the OHPS during one of the presentations,
I think it might have been the OHPS where this guy was just standing there.
There was one where there was somebody clipping their toenails like right in front of their phone screen.
No.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Yeah. And I was just like, dude, turn your camera off.
Stop your video for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah. Like, what are we doing here?
If you are the toenail clipper, just DM us and we'll give you credit in the
we
podcast.
will.
We will tag you.
Yeah, I feel like you should give them like some kind of discount on a product too for naming himself in that.
Probably would charge them extra instead.
Use code toenail25 to have your price be 125% of the normal price.
Yes. So from an industry perspective, what do based on where you're at as far as working with groups from an educational perspective, because you work almost primarily with women in the groups, right? But you train men as well from a training perspective.
Oh yeah. So I have male programming clients, and then I actually, funny enough, all my clients right now, except for one that are in person, are men. But I always trained both. It just, the only reason I did the female part of it was because I wanted to give women a leg up for a lot. I had spent a lot of my time studying for 3 years, like a lot.
Yeah.
I read a lot of stuff and took a lot of courses and spent a lot of money. And I was like, I love my best friends I talk to this stuff about are guys. My husband's a man. I have a son. Nothing. My dad's an OB. So I had conversations with him my whole life. What I felt like is I wish I had a female mentor at some point in my life. And I just wanted to be that person for them so that they could then go on. And since then, what's really cool is the women that I've been in EP, I've had like Solana, powerlifter. She just did a big webinar and she launched a 12-week program. Like, I'm like, yes, like, and it's going to be like semi-educational and have, that whole component to it. And Emily, Kadish, who is now teaching 2 of the presentations in EP, is a pelvic floor specialist. So I'm trying to encourage women to not be afraid to present and to put yourself out there and be like sort of comfortable with being the leader or the educator. And I don't think men know more. I think that they are more willing to put themselves out there and like overcome that like fear mindset.
Yeah. I mean, this always is interesting to me. I mean, obviously, like Matt and I are just like, we're white dudes, right? Like from a representation standpoint, like we're the most represented people in the industry for sure. Like, what are your thoughts coming from the other side of things as far as like just representation of women within the industry, and like where you see that going? Do you see it improving, or is it you feel like it's kind of staying the status quo, overall?
It's definitely improving. It is like, I would say 100% my mission to improve it more. I see it, like we had Rachel Balkovec on as a speaker last time, or no, maybe the time before. I can't remember, maybe it was last time. But I had her on because she has such a good viewpoint about it. It's not like, she's like, I don't feel as if I am owed something because it's this way. She sort of speaks to, I still have to earn my shit. It might be a little harder for me, but then I'm going to work harder and be like, bam. Like, she comes at it from that viewpoint, not like, I'm so repressed and like, it's so much harder for us. Like, I don't feel that way. I just know I'm going to work my butt off and work super hard, harder than anybody I know, to make sure that I can get a leg up. And that's good, because what that means is that I'm probably going to feel more confident because I did feel like I had to do that extra work. Does that make sense? And this goes back to when I was athletic training. I was on the student athletic training at Florida State. I mean, I think out of like 30 people accepted to the program, there was like 4 women. So, I mean, this is since I was 19, so I just see it differently. And I think what it is that there's like a need for a push for that confidence to kind of go, I'm here, I'm backing you up, and I'm telling you right now that you can do this. And then I'm going to give you a platform to speak, if I can, on EP or anything else, so that you can see it happening with your peers. You can literally see Samantha came on. She's bad anyway. It's not like she needed me to help her with anything. But she came on and she took all her kettlebell knowledge and she combined some of the EP stuff, and she made an awesome presentation. So they're seeing this cohort of theirs that's in their same, mentorship now speaking. And then Emily, same thing, and Solana, same thing. And I'm trying to somehow find a way to continue that process for everybody. That's like the community, honestly. The community is all about just like, I don't know anything anymore. They're smarter than me. I'm just the facilitator of the party. and just like, keeping the community alive so that these things can happen.
There's nothing better to be than the facilitator, though, because it means you've done your job well and it's done. It just means you just got to keep pushing it out there and just doing more of it, because like that means that you've, in my opinion, that just means that you've made an impact already.
Yeah. And I can use them to help teach to the next group.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I can be like, I don't know that, like you said, I don't know that much about kettlebells. I don't know that much about powerlifting. I don't Olympic lifting. Like, so here's some people who do.
But you've created the platform that allows people to feel confident enough and ready to do that, and gives them the space necessary to do so. And that's what I'm saying is like by you facilitating this, like you're almost like working yourself into obsolescence, which is going to be awesome, because then it's like, well, I've done my job. I don't need to do anything anymore. It's over. They're like, they're crushing it. The people that have gone through the program are really confident. They're really good at what they're doing, and they now have the outlets to do so, and they can really make a difference in what they're doing too.
Mhm.
Did you just say obsolescence?
Obsolescence.
Wow, that was
like
that's $100 word right there.
For the joke about somebody who can't read, I actually have a decent vocabulary.
I take back everything I said about that. My apology. You use like one syllable answers with me all day long. No,
I feel like that one like spelling bees though.
I definitely did. Yeah,
I could see that.
I definitely did.
He was that kid.
It's better than how you respond to me, Kyle. You just respond with 2 emojis at a time, and that's it. I get nothing else anymore. I'm like, wow.
Let's get
fist bump or crying laughing emoji. That's all I get.
You just get the sometimes. Yeah, that's
it.
That sums it up.
Get like a gift once in a while, like a good gift.
That takes too much time.
It's fist bump, laughing emoji, or just the word oof, and that's it. Those are the 3.
Yeah, he gets
3 repeat things.
Matt sends me other people's posts, and there's a lot of oofs out of that. What he sends
me an oof the other day.
I like the oof response. I think it's applicable to a lot of things because it's literally what's going through my head, and it kind of replaced the double facepalm that you used to get, Matt. The facepalm emoji.
It's evolved, yeah.
It's evolved.
It's actually, but the oof takes less effort because it's just OOF.
I don't have to hit
going and finding the emoji.
I don't have to find the emoji.
Exactly. So it's less effort. So it just means that it's the conversation quality is just degrading over time as well.
But it's more efficient.
For you, but it's more hurtful on my end.
But I only care about myself.
That's fair.
This is something we know. So when I hear like you talking about the female speakers, something that I think, branched off that. Have you ever thought about doing like an all-female virtual summit or something of that nature based on some of the people who've been through the group and then other speakers as well that, are just coaches that, from social media?
Yeah. So funny you brought that up because I have kind of put it on the back burner a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but Samantha and I want to do something together. CSCS. So we are interested in, I just said that for the listeners in case they don't know who I'm talking about, but we've had a couple of calls about doing not as much of like a virtual summit because I don't really love virtual summits.
Fair.
So the one that we ran was a nightmare, so I agree.
It's not that
you don't want to be the facilitator for that, just so you know.
No.
And I feel like it's too much. It's like too many people and nobody's going to watch everybody because it's like overboard. So what we talked about doing was a sort of like if you were going to have like a weekend retreat and you had 7 people come and it was like you had one at the morning hour after breakfast and then you have like maybe a chef at lunch and you could literally cook with the chef and then you have like another couple speakers for the day and then you kind of close it out. And that could be like one interactive speaker where you're actually exercising. And then like, so sort of like if you went to a conference, but without having as much selection.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like if you went to a retreat and this is the like specific detail of what's happening in the day, you don't have to do it all, but if you want to, this is the day. And so we talked about doing that. And so I don't know that we do all female, but female led.
Mm-hmm.
So finding a balance of maybe instead of having 2 females to 10 males, we'd have, a little bit more scaled towards the females and having me and Samantha be the moderators. And, what I love about her is she makes complex information super fun, which is what I think we need. And so basically that would be the premise of it. We can take the complex and we can still teach it to you and we can make sure you understand it, but we're going to do it with a lot of laughs and like a good time.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see that in the future for sure. And then Jill and I have talked about just doing like a literal retreat, sort of like Ben House does that thing in Costa Rica.
Yep.
Like here in Charleston, renting a couple big houses on the beach and then just like having a membership, people sign up and come, and then maybe having like a hotel rooms you could stay into. Because I feel like after COVID, you know, assuming it's going to end this year, people are going to be actually really ready to do stuff in person.
Yeah.
They're not going to want to do stuff online.
Absolutely. They're going to want to shut down the computer and go see people for as much time as possible. Get me away from this screen. I don't want to look at Excel anymore. It's killing me.
Yeah. Sell your Zoom stock.
Yes, exactly.
Sell high.
Disclaimer, this is not financial advice. Please don't sell your Zoom stock or do anything irresponsible and rash.
Yes. Definitely don't take financial advice from me. Matt's my Bitcoin mogul.
I've managed to lose all of my money, so don't take financial advice from me either. Yeah.
You can spell really well.
But I can spell very well. Exactly. I have the best spelling in the bankruptcy court. It's awesome.
So last question, and I think what ends up being the most fun question for most of our calls is, like it's kind of the what grinds your gears question. Like what about the industry does probably just drive you the craziest? What do you kind of dislike the most out of what you're seeing currently?
This is hard.
See, oofs are popular, man. I'm telling you.
Name names if you'd like to as well, if it makes it easier for you.
It hurts.
We'll tag them in the show notes.
Yeah.
I'm that person that doesn't want to call out anybody.
We challenged Dean and Jeb and said we could probably get you to say something about somebody. So we got to try.
Okay. So it's a big toss up between people who feel as if their way is the way in this like educational content, and then Beachbody. so I'm wavering back and forth about which one I dislike the most. Yeah. And honestly, because these people I think have very good intentions, they're just really shitty at communicating. I'm going to take them off the scale just went way up on the Beachbody.
Yes.
Because here's the thing. They're promoting sort of a tribalism at the expense of the people that they're working for by selling stuff that is total BS. And it's causing especially females to be seen as on the same playing field that they are. So if you are a serious female coach or trainer or Pilates instructor or yoga instructor or anything, all of a sudden, how are you different than the Beachbody coach that's selling chemical-laden Shakeology? And most of your clients that are going to come through your door initially aren't going to know the difference. And a lot of them are going to have gone there and maybe had some success, but then realized, I feel like I'm in a freaking cult and I got to get out, but I'm not sure where to go. And it's so hard because their platform is so big that they can literally resonate that message to so many people. And it's sort of this mentality. I've called out people in the past, literally, that I know and been like, this is not okay. And they just are religious about it. Like, it's like their Bible that no. But that's ridiculous. You can't expect people to eat in these like weird portions and like do these totally asinine workouts that have no actual programming value and then drink shakes to replace meals. Like that is the problem with the entire fitness industry. You are the problem. And so to me, that's pretty huge. And so how do we paint a broader picture for people that drowns out that noise? I don't know. I don't know the answer, but that is what I would say is a big problem, especially regarding women in the industry, because you don't see a lot of male Beachbody coaches. Or maybe you do.
No, I think it's definitely targeted very much so at women. Yeah. And I think that is a huge problem. And it feeds into the underrepresentation of very high level female coaches as well, just because I think coaches fall into that trap where they're just like, oh, this is a big group and I feel like I'm included in something. And these people are making money without having to devote that much time to like maybe continuing education or whatever. And some of these things that are actually a much harder path and some, you see a lot of coaches that might just be taking the easy way out of things as well sometimes.
And I think a lot of things that can happen with that too is that people who could be very good get dissuaded from it very early because they might not have the level of success that they would have had if they were to go any other direction in the same field.
Yeah, there's like a willingness for them to get on board because it's easier, because it doesn't require the hard work of just doing sessions day in and day out. And from people, you're just basically creating a downline marketing strategy to try to, you know, increase revenue in your life. And if you're okay with that, do you? But I'm just saying, I think it's fucking shitty.
That was really hard for you to say.
It was.
That was so hard for you to say.
It was.
Do you? I guess.
But you are not going to be followed by Katie St. Clair.
I will block you on Instagram and I will hate you for it.
Oh, the hater's going to come out after this episode comes out.
That's all right. This is going to go out.
Followers or Beachbody coaches.
And there's going to be about 6 listeners to this one anyway. So it's not that big of a deal. Our podcast subscribers are going to be very like single digits. As long as we're there, we're good.
Yeah, I'm good with that. I'm not promoting this on my page anymore. I'm kidding.
We were counting on you.
That was how we were going to get to double digits.
Jill will tell you, like, she tells me all the time, like, you just need to, like, be yourself because it's fine. And, like, because I kind of get in my head and I don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. But, yeah. So thanks for making me get uncomfortable.
Yeah, we're all about
I really appreciate it on this Friday evening.
Yes. We're authentic, if anything else. So where can everybody find you? Where can everybody find more about the services you provide?
KatieSt.ClairFitness.com or Instagram, same thing, Katie St. Clair Fitness. It's pretty easy.
Nobody already had that one?
No, I guess not.
Wasn't taken.
There is like some like young actress named Katie St. Clair, which oddly enough, I found when I was trying to create my Instagram profile 4 years ago.
Fancy.
Yeah, so anywhere you can email me, whatever. Pretty easy to get a hold of. Oh, and we have a podcast. We're going to talk about the podcast. Really.
Yes.
Yeah, drop it.
Yes.
Yeah. So I know this will come out. When is this coming out? Like in a couple months or something?
Between now and the end of the year?
Nah, it'll be late January.
It'll be January. Yeah.
Late January, maybe first week.
So
yeah.
I am hoping that we will actually get this thing recorded in like 2 weeks. So hopefully it won't be until February. So if you are listening to this, me and my good friend Jill Zimmerman are doing our own podcast. It's going to be a video podcast where you can catch it live on Facebook and YouTube. And then all of it will be recorded and the audio will go onto a regular platform. But we basically kind of want to do what you guys are doing, where you're just making it fun and light for people. And maybe one day I can come back on and actually talk about something substantial, you know, like biomechanics or something. But we can, what we want to have you guys on, and we want you guys to actually like take us through some kind of exercise or movement based thing live with everybody. Does that sound like your worst nightmare?
A little bit. Kyle, definitely Kyle's.
Definitely mine, but
Definitely
that's okay.
You can already, like, he's wearing a black shirt, but I can already tell the pit stains are intense.
Yes, I just turned super red. I'm even looking at my own video right
Oh
now.
no, that's amazing. Matt, we'll just have you like do some crazy power
Let's
lift.
do it. All right, you're going to deadlift.
Oh,
Pick the
Jim.
bar up, put it down.
You tell us something about it. But
Exactly.
basically the goal is to just make it more interactive. I'm super excited about it. And just it's so you can like literally watch us talking. So I would assume you guys are going to take this recording and then go upload the audio.
Yeah.
We're just we're gonna put you on a spotlight.
Nice.
Yes.
I like it. That'd be cool.
We try to stay off video as much as possible on
It's
things
because
like
of this.
Why, when you live in space the way you do, Kyle?
Well,
it's
I mean, like Kyle makes this joke about me all the time, is that I have both a voice and a face for radio. So we try to keep as far away from video content as we can for me, just so like we don't have listeners who are vomiting and getting nauseous and sick. It's not good.
Actually, you do have a radio voice. When you first did the intro,
it's really good.
It's great.
Welcome, everybody. I am Matt Gum.
It is. It's actually very solid radio voice.
Yeah, that's why I get to do the intros.
Yep.
Yeah.
So hopefully I can have you guys on.
Oh, we'll definitely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Cool.
Absolutely. That'll be fun.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. And I would thank our sponsors, but we don't have any. So
if you guys want to sponsor us, you know where to find us.
Do we have any? Who do you want to sponsor us, Matt?
Oh, I would love to get a free True Form runner. So I'm going to say True Form would be the one that I want to have sponsor me.
You've never ran in your life. What do you?
Yeah, but I want to make people run and not do it myself.
Oh, gotcha.
Great.
Okay,
Yeah.
Perfect. It's like, what are you talking about?
I want to watch other people suffer. So that's why I want people.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for coming on, Katie. And
Thanks a lot, Katie.